Hello, can you hear me?
I can.
Oh my
We're
gosh,
starting.
everything is working all at once.
Everything working all at once, but it wasn't a second ago.
No, we've had some apocalyptic winds here in the Northeast that knocked out my parents' power for the better part of yesterday and before that, and have made for some very brisk dog walks. But yeah, my internet got knocked out, but we're back, baby.
Apocalyptic Winds was actually one of the names they were deciding on for Ricky Starks.
It was, but they decided
better than that. It's better than that.
Be the new faction reveal, actually.
That's gonna be that's gonna be what they're gonna call Rookie A, Rookie B, guy who wears glasses, and dude who doesn't know how sleeves work. Apocalyptic Winds.
That's it. That's what that's what the new Shield Tribution is gonna be.
Hey, it's NXT. We're doing it, and Kate's got like fancy new stuff, and also internet that works. So
I do. I have a whole new setup. So, I upgraded my internet once we got rid of Floptimum. That was a step in the right direction, but unfortunately, my computer. Alex, like anything about minis, like mini PCs. I knew nothing. So this was a whole rabbit hole I went down with my dad. We got a PC, little guy who's doing well. I got new lighting. I got the setup that I've had for a long time now.
Yeah.
And we are so back.
Okay, good, because you were so gone for you were frozen solid for about 4 Mississippis, and then you came back. So we will see.
It is very windy. So
I believe it.
The more we can get through this, the better, because it's going to be nasty. But get in your super chats, get in your humper chats. This is the NXT show for February 18th. Moose showed up. Ricky Saints signed a contract. Lots happening. Lots happening.
And also, no one is safe. Did you see that at the end? You didn't see the very end of the show? No one is safe, Kate.
I did not see the very end of the show because I was working on the internet situation.
I get you. But no one is safe, Kate. We'll talk more about that at the end. So JDB Pringle says, amazing Alex, Killer Kate, powerful Papa Paul, Elizabeth, Luis. It almost wasn't Luis, by the way. And all the SGS. Mardi Gras is around the corner because Ricky Saints came marching in. Luis has more duties now. And we were almost going to be flying solo. And he's like, I'll come back and do this one. I'm like, please never leave us. I don't know how to do the show without Luis. Never leave me again, Luis.
You were almost the most solo.
Yes, I was almost the most solo I would have ever been doing this, which would not have been good for the show, I think. So, yeah,
that's fun.
Good. Not good at all. That because Ricky Saints is Ricky Saints. I made the joke that that was the one they decided on, but there were 4 that it had come down to, and the other 3 they decided not to go with were Ricky Falcons, Ricky Panthers, and Ricky Buccaneers, and they just decided to go with Ricky Saints instead. So football puns, NFL puns. Let's just do that. Why not? We just had the Super Bowl, so let's do that. It's in honor of Ricky Saints.
All day.
Let's get some NFL puns up in here. So we'll talk more about that. So JW Pringle, says prayers for Kate's new tech in the name of the Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, and the Holy Google.
And with your spirit.
Yes. And before we start, also, Jan Beard says, I just wanted to give a shout out to Tom Grossi doing a charity stream. He's on day 3 of streaming and just got to $360,000 raised. Wow.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Yeah, wonderful. Good job. Oba Femi started the show. And I was like, this is where we're going to get Austin Theory and Grayson Waller coming out to interrupt him to have their actual breakup segment. Because they didn't follow up on it on Raw, on them basically breaking up during the match on Saturday. And indeed, they actually teamed together like what happened on Saturday never occurred. They teamed up for a match that they're going to broadcast on Main Event.
Well, yeah, I was going to say on Main Event.
But they did. I mean, so I was just wondering if maybe they were going to address it tonight. No, he didn't even bring them up. The only people he actually wants to talk about are two rookies, a guy who likes to read and a dude who doesn't know how sleeves work. Until they give me a faction, that is their name as the faction, because we don't know who the other two guys are. They are rookies. We know a guy, he likes to read, and the other guy doesn't know how sleeves work. That's the only thing that we know about them. So I need a name. Otherwise, that's their new name. It's really wordy. It doesn't really roll off the tongue.
No.
However, that's their name. I have no other choice but to call them that because they haven't given us a name yet.
Do you think since Ricky Starks became Ricky Saints, they're going to be like the Field? Or like Schmetribution? You know what I mean? Like, is it just going to be, are we just going super adjacent? But I am excited for Saquon Sugar / Lucky Ali, if you followed him on the independent scene. He has, you were using a lot of the kids language yesterday on Select, so I'll continue here. Right, he has the Riz, right? He and nobody beats the Riz. But you
have to have a lot of Riz to be able to confidently not know how sleeves work.
It's true. And to overcome that?
Yeah, like the amount of Riz you have to step out of the house just not using one of the two sleeves on your shirt. That's an amazing amount of Riz.
It really is.
By the way, when I say he doesn't know how sleeves work, I'm just assessing what they showed me on the broadcast. That's not like some kind of overarching, like I'm not taking a shot at the guy. I'm just saying the character appears to not know how sleeves work. And until you give me another thing, Lucky Ali, Saquon Sugars, take that out of because that guy doesn't exist. The guy that exists is the guy on the show on Saturday who doesn't know how sleeves work, appears to not know how sleeves work. I'll just say that.
Evidently on that one night.
Right.
I do wonder, conspicuous by his absence has been Wesley. There's a couple of, like, we haven't seen Wesley. We haven't seen Gallus in like 100
Wesley
years.
We saw tonight, pretty obviously. He interrupted Ricky Saints' contract signing, and they're having a tag match next week. Was that part of the internet problems that you were having?
A little bit. I saw the front half of that segment.
Okay,
I saw
good.
It's going to be spotty for me.
Yeah,
but
I get you. Yeah.
I'm glad. I saw Javon was in that, right? And then
Javon was the thing that happened. Yeah, Javon ran Ethan Page off. Okay. And then Wesley interrupted Ricky Saints.
I did my best tonight, guys. It's been brutal here. But that's good. Okay, so he's back and he's not affiliated with this faction. It does not appear. But like I don't know if this faction is being built to stand on their own or if someone's gonna come back.
Yes,
so
again, that's the $1 million question for me.
Yes. And I thought Vengeance Day was pretty good. We talked about like some booking possibilities that make us nervous. But one thing I noticed while watching tonight's show is it feels like now we're at a place where most of the people on the show are characters and not gimmicks. Mm-hmm. Like I've met a lot of these people or people like them in real life kind of thing. And it's not Wrestlelicious level gimmicky stuff. Like which is I think a really positive direction for any promotion to head in.
Right.
As much as Wrestlelicious was great, and God bless them. Lord knows I went down that rabbit hole for like a month. But but it's really refreshing, and I think it also goes to show you like when you balance out the product between the NIL class and this is a much better mix of things. So but anyway, Oba Femi kicked off the show. And did
Will
not
Chisholm.
talk about Grayson Waller, or
No.
which he shouldn't. Like, beat him, move on.
No, I get it.
They're
I get
chumps.
it.
Yeah.
They are, as evidenced by the fact that their whole storyline was them breaking up with each other, and they didn't for the longest time. Appeared to in the match on Saturday, their highest profile match in a very long time. They appeared to break up, but instead they're still teaming together on Main Event. Did not appear on Raw, did not get mentioned on this show. So that tells you how little they matter and why it was
Raw
really dumb to have
to where they were drafted, by the way. And I don't think or transfer portaled.
Yes. Yeah, they were portaled there. But yes, yeah, Will Chisholm saying that LL Cool J did make one pants leg work, but he's cool. Yes. Again, lots of Riz.
Yeah.
For LL Cool J. Again,
100%.
The idea that you would roll one pant leg up over your calf and leave the other one all the way down to your ankle. No one can pull that off without the Riz.
A tremendous amount of Riz.
You got to have the quotient of Riz that you must possess.
Expansive.
Is at least 90th percentile for you to be able to pull off. Hold on, let me roll up one pant leg and leave the other one down. I think maybe 95th percentile of Riz you got to be able to possess to be like, you know what? One sleeve on my sweatshirt, other sleeve, just dangle it in the breeze. Just dangle it off my shoulder up here. That's a lot of Riz. I can't wait to see this guy cut a promo or do anything where he's not, making no one safe. I don't know. We'll talk about that at the end. So he wants those guys to come out. He says they gave me their best shot, and here I am, unfazed. This is exactly who Oba Femi should be. And he says, I want you out here now. And then you were talking about a leader. Does this faction have a leader? It looks like they may need to have like at least a guy who's in charge. And so when the lights came out and then the lights came up and there was a figure standing in the rampway, I did not immediately notice that it was Moose. And I was like, who's this big boy? That's got to be the leader. And then the other four guys are going to jump Oba Femi from behind. Like, that's a great thing. And then I was like, oh, it's Moose. Do we have the guy who doesn't know how shirts work? Because I'm not necessarily a Moose. You know what I mean? I'm not a Moose guy necessarily. I mean, I have nothing against the animal. They're majestic creatures of the frozen north. However,
Rocky and Bullwinkle, classic stuff.
He's Meat Norma's bringing up that he is meaty. Oba and Moose, get the hose. I'm eating a salad right now. I mean, you need more meat, I suppose, is what you're saying. And I get that part. But Doc Chris Mueller says that Oba fighting a real moose would be way better. So I mean, it all depends on how much of a moose guy or gal you happen to be as to how you are viewing this particular development. I know this is a match both guys have pushed for. They both want, which is good.
Yeah, exactly.
That is good for both of them. I'm happy they're getting it. I don't know. Also,
what about
knocked me? You could have knocked me over with a feather when I realized that dude was the X Division champion. I'm like, I don't pay attention to TNA at all, apparently. So there you go.
I think a triple threat between an actual Moose the wrestler, and Oba Femi would be the way to go. Let's mix it up, right? But I don't want people to misinterpret my sourness today because normally it's directly at creative, but both of the TNA talent exchange things, I don't have a lot of excitement for, but I can recognize why other people are excited and the contributions to wrestling that they've made. Like, we're going to talk later about like present day Hardys facing the No Quarter Catch crew, and I'm not like hyped about that, but I understand the value of it. I'm just not excited about it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yes. That is a really great way. Objectively, I understand that watching two men who can barely move beat a much more talented younger team in like up and coming. That has value to the entire thing, even though I would rather die than watch it. You know what I mean? Like there are things I can say this is objectively good while saying subjectively I think it's horrible, and I understand those things can exist on the same plane.
I guess if I'm just looking, I also am not closely following TNA largely because I'm reviewing ROH while it's on, and I don't really tend to go back except to look at highlights. And now that Speedball's no longer on the product, I look at less highlights because he was kind of like my guy there.
Right.
The Impact Knockouts division is something that I'm very excited in, and there are some talent there that are great. But Masha coming over here, I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Right. Yeah.
But for me, Moose isn't, especially as someone that started watching in 2009. I don't really have any attachment to Moose, and I don't feel like, oh, that's a cool test for Oba Femi. But if it's something that Moose wants and it's something Oba Femi wants, they should do it. I'm a huge believer that if two wrestlers want something, they should do it.
To me, it's obvious that is the MSG Oba Femi match.
Perfect.
Which I think that's a good place to. That's a good place to do it. Oba's gonna win. You move on to I can only assume you move on to doing the Trick Williams one-on-one rematch for the title with Oba Femi at Stand and Deliver. Oba Femi wins. Trick moves up. We move on to the rest of the spring and summer. All that tracks. You know what I mean? I'm just, I guess I'm more of an elk guy than a moose guy.
That's fair.
It's
fair. I'm more of a Rocky than a Bullwinkle gal. It tracks.
Sure. There you go. That makes sense. I mean, I get it. So apparently that during the Netflix commercials, Theory and Waller called out Sheamus, says Ryan Cicchini. So that's what they were doing on Raw. So they signed their own death warrant. That's a fun way to spend a commercial break.
I am very confused by that too, because are they continuing to not be a tag team but just fight guys that are?
I don't know. Will Chisholm saying that we could have had Tessa show up, so I guess Moose is a better alternative than that. So we'll just move on.
Yeah. That would be of all the divisions that don't need talent exchange help, it's the women's division on NXT.
We're
good.
So hey, basically this has got to happen, says Moose, and Oba says, "Oh, don't worry, it will." And then later, as he was leaving, they did a little, thing for the Instagram or something where he says, "Moose has invaded my territory. Now it is time for me to invade his." So he's going to be on TNA. That's it. That makes sense. Right?
That tracks.
I like that. I like it. Yes, Ryan Cicchini says this is a great idea. Miro and Sheamus future tag. They used to be in the League of Nations together. Let's get it done. We're you know what I mean? I like it.
League of Nations is kind of like Legacy to me, where I'm like, that should have been really cool based on the people that were in it. But boy, did they go out of their way to make it not be that.
Unfortunately, they were waylaid by Alberto Del Rio poison, which happens a lot.
Boy, howdy did it. Every 8 months or so, I feel like there's Del Rio's I want to come back to WWE, and Shawn checks internally to see if they have any interest, and he gets laughed out of the room. I say that because Shawn has said that. He was if there was a way to have less than zero interest, that's how much interest they would have in this guy. But
anyway, backstage, Moose runs into Lexis King, and Lexis King says, you guys coming over here trying to take over the place, I don't like all that or whatever. And Moose is like, so how about I squash you next week in your hometown? Good. And Lexis King is like, that sounds great, I'll sign up for that. And so we're doing that next week, because if that match is longer than 45 seconds, they're doing it wrong. Because Lexis King is an uber heel and will be so even in Cincinnati, and you need to build Moose to a crowd who may not be familiar with him if you want them to think he's got a prayer of beating Oba Femi. So next week in Cincinnati, you have him come out and murder Lexis King. If you can figure out a way to have Moose force him to eat the Heritage Cup. That's what you do.
Is it a Heritage Cup match? They didn't say so, right? So
It's an X Division Championship match. That is what it is.
That's right. Lexus King was like, that's all it took for you to get the title on the line. He did not sound very natural in this promo at all.
He did not.
Of all the things for my internet not to cut out for this one, it did not. But that's a good stepping stone to get to Oba Femi versus Moose. That makes sense. Yeah. That was the big Moose through line.
Yeah. So we got the lady portion of the show in the very beginning. We got Karmen Petrovic, Jada Parker, and Kelani Jordan. Swing. And Kelani Jordan, who's trying a new look out. And your mileage may vary, but it did not, like, she's trying to be more intimidating, like she's got an edge to her, and like blowing out the hair didn't do that. From like, if it had been like tight, like braided, like way back, like an MMA fighter, like I think that would have served what she's trying to do with it, because it was so poofy around Bozo the Kelani. That was the first thing that came into my head, because of Bozo the Clown was all the way back, and it was just so tight up here, but so poofy back here. And I was like, I just don't feel like that works for what you're trying to be right now. It could be looked for other things, but not for this. And so it was very distracting because it was doing a lot of this throughout the entire night. I enjoyed the match, and I thought all three women did very well, but I was distracted because I do have the ADHD of the hypnotic movement of the hair.
She has this wonderful problem where she's now a heel and clicked in, but she is gorgeous and very magnetic.
Yes.
So I appreciate that she's trying to do something different, and that it's not black lipstick and a leather top.
Oh, like thank God it's not that. Thank God it's not that, though. Yeah.
I'm glad. I remember when do you remember when Tay Conti came out for her match? I think it was with Britt. Yeah. And she had the Brazilian flag, and she had kind of done like a cool, like MMA fightery look. That might be a cool place for Kelani to go. I think it's awesome that she did something different that everybody else on the show does. But it was a little off base from the character that she's trying to portray. I agree with that for sure. I think Karmen Petrovic is really starting to come along, and that makes me happy, because she's someone that I was like, she has something cool to her if they can figure out how to harness it and then cultivate the other pieces of it. And she's really started to click in, and we got to see that in this match. This whole thing with the Shanti sucks. Like I'm ready for it to go away. Yeah, no, but
it's just starting though. It's just starting. That's the best part. It's just starting. David Filipich says Karmen Petrovic is cool. Why can't they do something interesting with her? They think this is interesting. How would you guys book her with how strong the women's division is getting? She's a karate black belt. I would simply book her to be that. I would book her to have a kick that is a one-hitter quitter. I would book her to have a kick that if she catches you with it, you're done. I would book her to have a black mass type kick that if she gets you with it, I don't care what's been happening in the rest of the match, that's done. I would have her because she's on a 4-match win streak. They don't say it's 4 matches. They say she's on the longest win streak of her career, and she is, except for the one before this one. She lost and then she won because the referee came down and
she tapped out.
She tapped out. And then a different referee came down and said, I'm sorry, the match must be reversed because Kelani decided to attack her after the match. So
Kelani was mean post-match, so that means
Kelani was mean. Kelani was a sore winner, and therefore we have stripped her of the win. is just a thing. Like, it feels like that's how you like punish your 5-year-old who is like really too vociferous. It's how you punish your 9-year-old when they talk trash to their 5-year-old sibling after they beat them in Mario Kart. Well, you know what? Now your sister won. How about that? I've declared it. Your sister won. You didn't win. Your sister won. She gets the points. You don't, because you were so mean to her. That's right. Think about that next time, young man. That's what it feels like when you do that to wrestlers. It's dumb.
It also just feels like of my childhood punishments thing. Like, they didn't even put her in timeout first.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, let's escalate it properly. But if I were to book Karmen Petrovic, I've been dying for a women's division to do this. Karmen Petrovic might be an interesting one to do it with. I thought Layla Hirsch and her armbar would be perfect to do it with. We have not seen a women's wrestler have a move that just like, if they did what Ronda Rousey was doing in real life with the women's wrestler, where it was just like she was just squashing people because she had one move that nobody knew how to work around. Like, your idea I love of just like, you're just done if she hits it. But like the idea of just like, there's no way to not get in an armbar against Layla Hirsch and you're done, I think is like something really interesting. Like, if somebody went on a series of squashes with stuff like that, maybe it's even 2 or 3 moves, but like Karmen, I think, would have been a cool candidate for that. She did a blood sport match where she beat the hell out of like, I when you have a real life black belt background to do something, and I understand that the intention of this program in particular is creative and they want to tap into all of these things that you have to do to become a complete wrestler. But I just feel like applying a trope on top of someone that feels so counterintuitive to who we know them as is never good. And then to do it with this one is gross. Like, this one's gross.
So this is the thing is Jambier says Karmen with Tajiri's old buzzsaw kick. That'd be great. I think that if you're gonna give her a win streak, give her a 5-match win streak, and none of the matches last longer than 20 seconds. Because she whatever the level up talent would be if they were still doing level up, you just put her against those women 5 weeks in a row and she kicks them in the head 20 seconds in and pins them. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, if she hits that on Stephanie Vaquer, I don't know if she can kick out. Like, that becomes a story going into the match. By the way, she wins this match because she gets pulled out of the ring by Ashanti, so that Kelani was going to do some, I don't know, 450 or something to her when she was laying there. So, but Ashanti pulls her out of the ring. Ashanti would have done it, but then here comes Jada Parker to attack Kelani and is doing a bunch of stuff to Kelani. She does her thing where she runs into the corner, jumps up and sits down on her belly and drops her into the thing. And then she's going over and doing her high knees. And Ashanti rolls Karmen into the ring, and she rolls over and then does a jackknife to Kelani. And pins her that way. So she's the number 1 contender to Stephanie Vaquer, who just won the title. So we know she's not pinning Stephanie Vaquer. She's not beating her. So what you should do, again, just my opinion, is make her look as strong as possible going into a match that we know she can't win. So at least we go, I can't wait to see how they lay this out, because Karmen Petrovic is a really strong character. She's a great fighter. So let's see how Stephanie, the Karmen Petrovic that won this match, the rest of the match before the finish is one thing, and she did very well. But like, her boyfriend basically helped her to pin the person that she did because the other one wasn't paying attention. She didn't do a move to Kelani. She did a jackknife pin. She didn't do a move to her. So then, because Jada Parker was like, and then Jada Parker gets super pissed about it and attacks Karmen afterwards. And then her and Kelani start fighting, and they leave. And then Karmen gets jumped by Fallon Henley and JC Jane and Jasmine Nix of the Many Continents. And they triple team her and beat the hell out of her, going into a break. And Ashanti is standing there like, I'm not allowed to touch them. Is there anyone else who's allowed to touch them who could come down here and help this? I don't know if the phalanx of security they usually employ, like, all decided
Union break.
Hey, let's all get together and do PTO for the Tuesday after President's Day 4-day weekend.
PTO.
4-day weekend, bros. We're totally going up. We're totally going to Disney World. We're gonna go to Disney long break. I'm going to Epcot. I'm gonna go to the thing where you do all the flights of beer around the entire. I'm getting totally wasted. All those guys did that together as like a work outing, so they weren't here to come out and break up an obvious beatdown that always gets broken up. So they beat the absolute dog piss out of Karmen Petrovic for an entire commercial break, and then Julia makes a save and Stephanie makes a save, and the three of them end up beating them down, and then we get Jordynne Grace out. By the end of this, if you had forgotten who was the new number one contender to the North American Women's Championship, I would not blame you, because they made that person look the weakest of everybody. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 women involved in this segment post-match. And the one that looks the worst going into her North American Women's
Championship number one contender.
The one that looks the weakest is the one that won the match before the post-match stuff. You have to be trying to make it look that bad for the person who you said she wins the match. She gets the title match next week. But along the way, let's make her look like crap. Why would you do that?
On top of a win that she got because she tapped out and Kelani was extra mean.
Again.
Yeah, like it's now like a pattern of that with someone who is very cool. So I wish they wouldn't. I also feel like, sure, Ashanti can't hit anybody in Fatal Influence, but I think he's allowed to intervene when his girlfriend's getting the crap.
Throw yourself over her body and allow them to stomp your back.
Step in between. I would be kind of pissed at my boyfriend if he just watched me get pummeled by 4 girls.
I hope there's a segment about that next week. I do.
I feel like, quite the protector of a man you are.
Yeah, so that was fun. Also,
but
hey,
Alex,
yeah.
You know what? Some people
are
also worried about looking bad in their performances and they don't want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I certainly have to be picky choosy about my segues because I'll tell you what. If I do a standing on end one and you call me out, things go off the rails, as you saw on the Vengeance Day faux show. So I'll just say, if you've been made to look bad in your recent performances, if your booking's been a little weak, we've got the solution for you.
Blue Chew, main event performance, main event confidence, and a main event deal. Go to BlueChew.com and use the code FIGHTFUL, and you will get Blue Chew with their first shipment for free. Shipment? Yeah, I said shipment. No waiting in line at the pharmacy, no awkward doctor's visits. You take their online exam, and then if approved, it's shipped straight to your door. That's right. Same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in a chewable form and much more affordable. How can you pass up on this? How can you pass up on that confidence? How can you pass up on that performance? How can you pass up on making your sex life better? That's what Blue Chew is here to do. You don't have to have a problem to use Blue Chew. Just get that additional performance. BlueChew.com and the code FIGHTFUL.
So Jordynne Grace comes out to save Julia and Stephanie. So Fallon just lost the title to Stephanie. So I understand why they're pissed and just attacking the next one contender. I get that, because I think maybe she wants a rematch before anybody else is the next contender. That would make sense to me. But now they get their licks in on Stephanie and Julia as well. Is Julia ever gonna be made to feel like the most important person in anything as the champion? Because she doesn't feel like it, because they got debuting Jordynne Grace and brand new champion Stephanie Vaquer, who's actually fighting her real rivals. and Julia's just like helping out. It just feels like a pattern. It just feels like a pattern because she wasn't really important in the Bailey and Roxanne thing. She was just the champion who would end up winning, which is important, but never really felt like it was her story at all.
I feel like they're trying to go for this 2-woman power trip thing, which is cool, but for that, both of them need to be clear and distinct champions on their own and actively choosing to be an alliance, if that makes sense. Like, it cannot be like 50% and 50% make 100% in the partnership. It needs to be like 100% and 100% make 200% in the partnership. So I do feel like I understand that, and I like the idea that there's I kind of like the spirited thing of Steph, who seemed to have a problem with a bunch of people backstage, coming out to help Karmen because Karmen won the match fair and square, and that's not the kind of thing that she has a problem with.
No,
I like.
That makes
sense. But I agree with the criticism that it feels like Julia and the title hasn't been about Julia and the title very much yet. So they definitely need to work on that. I don't know. Like, is it one-on-one with her and Cora Jade? Like, that's what's so weird about the multi-woman match is 2 of those people are now on the main roster. So you didn't really set up a one-on-one coming out of that.
Right.
Because it feels like Cora Jade's going to TNA Impact to deal with Masha, right? So usually I feel like in a successful triple threat or 4-pack, you get a one-on-one story out of that. And this one feels like, well, the bones of that entire thing are picked right now. So what do you do next for Julia, especially if you have ZARIA in this thing with Sol Ruca? So I don't know. I don't know what's next for Julia, but it would be nice if they had a strong one-on-one program for her that lets her show what she can do.
I was also thinking maybe we would get Karmen coming out during the main event and doing some kind of sick kick to one of the girls on the outside as revenge for having been beaten down by them, who she had nothing to do with. Something to make her look, I don't know, not like somebody who shouldn't be taken seriously. Like, we have Steph Faker and Jordan Grace and Julia. Like, that seems to be a thing of like, which one is Jordan going to go after? And you just made Karmen Petrovic literally the #1 contender, and she could not be less of a threat to anybody. Why even do that? Like, if you're not going to actually throw all your weight behind making her a solid contender, why make her a contender at all?
And it's the multiple segments in a row that have done that, and the fact that she, like, I try not to be too whatever, but like I need a man's help thing. I think it got so annoying with Liv that I'm so over. Like, Dominic Mysterio was the focus of the women's division on Raw for like 3 years straight.
Yeah.
And I'm so tapped out on that. Especially with the fact that this whole relationship came about with her getting like negged, basically. Like, it's just the whole thing is gross to me. So there's I like Karmen being a focus because I think there is something special to her, but this doesn't feel like the right way to go about business.
So Ruca and ZARIA, Zelta and Ruca. I'm trying to figure out a good, because they haven't given a team name. They always like, hey, what should we be called as a team? And they don't have a team name. They have a cool entrance now, where like Sol stands directly behind Zelta and you can't see her there. That was cool. And
somebody said the Soul Crushers, which I liked, like SOL Crushers, which I thought was cute.
Perfect. Soul Crushers.
It's great, right?
Let's do it. I'm into it. I love it. And they beat the Meta Girls. It was decent. There were some sloppy points, but like, it was pretty good. Zelta's got a top 2 spear in the company.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
it's Braun Breaker and her.
Ricky, I'm sorry. That's not a thing you could do if Zelta is laying out people the way she's doing. You're not allowed to do yours on the same show. I just
Not
feel
at
like
least not in back-to-back matches.
just
Like those
not
got to be other
not
ends
on
of
the
the show.
same night that she
Different
wrestles.
hours.
If she wrestles on the same night you do and hits that on somebody, please don't do yours. Just saying. Anyway, it looked really good. I love her F5. I think that Lash and Jakara have proven themselves to be a very good, competent tag team, and because they're the only one that can fit that description in NXT, them putting over the Soul Crushers, as they are now going to be called on this show, them putting over the Soul Crushers now is meaningful, and so many things are still up in the air with what you do with the women's tag team titles at Mania time. If there is some kind of invitational, well, let's say those titles are by that time on Liv and Raquel, and maybe they do a thing where it's them versus somebody from SmackDown versus somebody from NXT, and it's on the undercard at Mania. Now, I can't really be upset that they don't give Zelta a match at Stand and Deliver if the match she does have is on WrestleMania itself for the tag titles. So again, I think that she and Soul could be really good as a tag team. I just think that the ceiling for Zelta and Soul is so much higher than an odd couple tag team that you throw together where you do sketches during the play where, they're just doing comedy skits.
Is it a reverse F5 and not just a regular F5?
I mean, it's the opposite. Yeah, she throws her the other way because he does it.
She's Australian.
That's what it is. It's got to go. It's got to go counterclockwise. It's got to go counterclockwise. That's the thing.
There it is. I applaud their effort to understand that Sol Ruca was like at the top of that class and to not want her to get lost in the shuffle of the incoming group. And I think there is a really fun and special combination of things that can happen in a ring with these Soul Crushers. That might be our first really honest attempt at a tag team name that didn't come from like us just being so much fun.
Team Double Vest.
Team Double Vest, the Blurry Boys, things like that.
Bouncy Beef. Yeah, no.
I think it's good. So I do like that, and it is a really fun combination. It does feel like as soon as they got together, I was like, this is going to be to break up this team. Like, and I'm glad that they're giving it some time, but I do think that around Stand and Deliver is going to fall apart, right? Maybe even at Stand and Deliver is where the turn happens, but like, it feels like we're delaying ZARIA being a monster heel. But I do see the value in doing that to eventually make Sol Ruca, I think, a top face in this next crop of women. This match was fun. It was also sloppy in the ways that I don't usually mind being sloppy. Like it was sloppy in the way that happens when like people are in wrestling. So I didn't really mind that too much. I really do hate that the tag belts got taken away from this division, and I normally would be like, you have to do work if you want to make the tag belts come back. If they just tomorrow said we're taking the tag belts back, I wouldn't be mad. I would be like, do it, because the depth of this division is so there. And you already have like Jordan Grace is now in the picture until after, through this Mania season or whatever. So I just wish that there were ways that these women had more to fight for, because it already feels like, where's Lola Vice going next? Where's Jada Parker going next? Like there are all these pieces that feel like they're getting lost in the shuffle that you don't want to slide off the radar. So I would appreciate if these matches weren't just because we have duos, right? Let's give it some love.
It is funny. Corey Graves sometimes WWE announcers just be saying stuff. Tonight, Corey Graves says that Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend did so well and put such a scare into Bianca Belair and Naomi that we haven't seen them on this brand since. That match was 21 days ago. Like, how long are they supposed to stay away? Like, how long are like we haven't seen them since? Seems like a thing that you would say if they'd been gone for 6 months or more. 21 days. What are they just supposed to just show up all the time? Like,
I mean, in Corey Graves' world, yes, I guess.
Perhaps,
but
yes.
I do think There is a talent rotation usage issue, and it does back its way up into NXT. What I mean by that is on the main roster, we're getting LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura again. Like they are doing an unbelievable job with keeping their top stars hot.
Yeah.
They've run back everything 900 times, so I'm getting tired of it. But I understand why they're doing it. But when your mid card is even run back with the same 5 or 6 guys, it gets really, really rough lower card, and then it makes the moving up process for NXT talent impossible. And we've seen the consequences of that already.
Somebody floated this idea, which I love, using the European soccer term of relegation, where like there are tiers, and if you're in the A tier and you have a bad season, you get dropped to the B tier. But if you have a good season in B tier, you can go up to the A tier. And that's basically what you would wind up doing. Like every few months, we just switch. Whoever's on a hot streak in NXT goes to the main roster. Whoever's not doing stuff on the main roster goes down the thing. And you can switch a few times a year. Don't do it for like a week or two. Do it for like a quarter.
Sure.
Do it for 3 months at a time. And then people who aren't doing anything on the main roster can go to NXT, and they would, if they're former NXT, or just because they're a main roster talent, they get a huge response from the warehouse crowd. You know what I mean? It'd be a big thing for those people to see them. You could do fun stuff down there. It'd be kind of cool to put over somebody as beating somebody from the main roster who's not doing anything, but who has some kind of history of something being done. You know,
I agree. There was even, I'm gonna get very like sticklery. Back in ROH before it shut down. Back when ROH was men. Back when ROH, like during the pandemic, it was actually my favorite wrestling product, and it was like me and only 8 other people watching it. SP3 was one of them, thank God. But they were doing this really great thing of, because everybody was taping in batches during COVID, it was an hour long every week. It still had Ian and Caprice, so the commentary ruled. And there's something when a program is forced to tape in batches that the planning has to be explicitly clear. And so they had this thing where you were I'm in this division, and I'm going to rise to the ranks of that division until I get to challenge for that belt. If you were in the pure division, you were working toward the pure belt. If you were looking for the TV, like all of these extremely clear things.
It used to be, and I don't know if this is still true because I don't play that version of the game, that feature in the game. But in the 2K things, it used to be that you, as the GM, would be able to select, these are the wrestlers who are in the main event division. These are the wrestlers that are in this division. These are the wrestlers that are in this division. These are the wrestlers that are in this division. And then you could jockey them for position. They had to declare. You, as the GM, had to declare that this guy is going for this title. And then they would jockey for, and you could just do that for real life. You know what I mean?
It would be neat. It would be neat. It makes for an incredibly clear product. Like it's very, very the framework of it makes it a breeze to watch. I'll put it that way.
I just needed to say this before we get too far beyond it. I need to say, back when Honor Israel was man.
Actually, Alex, we are about midway through the show, which is probably a great time to remind everyone, not of our sponsors, not about Fightful Select, but to remind everyone that I was right about Duke Hudson. I just was.
Yeah.
I watched that video again today, and you had said it on Saturday, and I had already thought it, but then I went back and watched it again. I am actually now surprised that they didn't just call him back and say, do exactly what you're doing now, but on our television. It is like such excellent stuff. So anyway, go follow Duke Hudson. They were wrong. I was right. He's great. Back to you.
Jambeard says, SMH, Alex talking about spears in WWE doesn't mention Kairi Sane's interceptor as the second best spear behind Braun. Listen, I love Kairi. She weighs as much as a feather. And so it is difficult for me to buy her spear, even though she does get some good velocity on it. It's definitely top 5. And think of the ground that covers both Usos behind her, far behind Kairi Sane. So, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people who use the spear. Okay. Ricky Starks, they did the thing that I said. Honestly, this is like they took the note. You don't throw away Ricky. Ricky is the most important thing. When you get a Ricky chant, you don't throw that away by giving him something else. And they basically kept the same idea entirely. His last name starts with the same consonant and ends with the same consonant. It's the same number of syllables. One. It makes sense. Like, it all makes sense. And if it wasn't just if you can't just automatically go the NFL puns route, which we are doing tonight, then maybe nobody would have a leg to stand on.
Sure.
However, when you think he could have been named Hayes Jameson, Ricky Saints is an absolute win. And I say that with pun intended. To go from Ricky Starks to Ricky Saints may be a shock to the system for a lot of us. However, it could have been so much worse. Now, the segment itself, where they still won't tell us what his friggin' name is through the entire show. And because they did that, my thought was his name is just going to be Ricky Starks. And the thing is going to be like, and you all were worried. Like, I thought that what it was going to be. So they go into this segment and he cuts a great little promo, but he is interrupted by the exact right guy.
Yep. Agreed.
Ethan Page coming out and them leaning into the history without bringing it up, because they're not allowed to say those three letters in that particular succession back to back ever on television. So they don't bring it up specifically, but it's right there. And like, why are you coming out here busting my balls for this? Why are you so angry? I don't understand. This is supposed to be a celebration. Signing my big contract. You beat Javon. This is great. Although, I mean, it did show you he got that dog in him. And, if I know anything about that guy, he's not going away. He'll come back pretty soon. But one thing I did love that was kind of funny is Ethan Page basically pointing out that the creative for both of their signing their contracts was the exact same thing.
He's so good with stuff. Ethan Page is amazing with stuff like that.
He's so
Kevin
good.
Owens level amazing with stuff like that.
Don't give him the ammunition. Like, you don't have, if you don't, book something to be the exact same thing that it was the last time. Show up, big, huge free agent coming in here, shocking the world, signing your contract on national television, like probably gonna ask for his like imitation's the sincerest form of flattery. I get it, but you didn't need to do the exact same thing, because then he wouldn't be able to point it out. However, I love that he did point it out, because it is the same thing that he's doing. But I liked the interaction between them, and then Javon Evans showing up to start beating up Ethan Page. Ethan Page goes out. Great stuff. And he's like, okay, well, that's over. Cool. Let's get back to what I was saying. And he's interrupted again almost immediately by Wesley. Earlier, Wesley was being interviewed, and Ricky Starks came out, and Sarah Schreiber was like, you don't matter. I'm gonna go talk to Ricky Saints. Ricky Saint Star. And so he hello. How's it going? And they still won't tell him his name. Wow, you are here. Like they wouldn't do anything. They could even called him Ricky, since he was going to have the same first name anyway. Wow, Ricky, you're here. My goodness, they didn't do that at all. Ava, presiding over the contract signing, would not use his name. It was very, very obvious they were pointing to something. Wesley comes out and says, first rule, you don't disrespect Wesley, blah, blah, blah. Wesley eventually takes a swing at him, but Ricky Starks is too fast for him. Punches him. He sells that punch like JTG sold the Cobra Strike that one time. He did that. He had that bit, which was fun. But he signs the thing, and then the camera pans over his shoulder and shows you what it says on the contract: Ricky Saints. And I'm like, that move of showing you what the thing was going to be as the camera panned in to show it, I was like, got to be Ricky Starks. Because that's what you do if you're like, haha, it was the thing you were afraid it wasn't, like whatever. and then it's Ricky Saints, and I was like, I mean, I don't like it, but it's could be so much worse.
Sure.
So I'm glad that that's, I guess, what they got. And he says Wesley was like coming at him, and during the promo, Ricky Stark Saints says,
Stark Saints.
I'm gonna do that for a few weeks. I'll get it out of my system. Ricky Stark Saints says to Wesley, he says, you want to go? We could do this next week. And Wesley's like, all right, cool. And I was like, cool. What a great first singles match that you just made on television. We all saw it. What a great singles match that's going to happen next week between Wesley and Ricky Starks. And then backstage, Ava is talking to Ricky's like, wow, everything's so crazy around here. I walked backstage into Gorilla right after I signed my contract, and everyone who was standing here was laying here doing nothing, having been beaten up. This place is crazy. And Ava's like, well, you just have to get used to it. Most of the craziness is due to my bad general managing skills, but we won't bring that up on TV ever. And then Ethan Page comes in some more. It's like, man, what are you still doing here? You saw what happened with Javon. I thought we were done with him. I would like to. And then Wesley's like, hey, you can't do that to me. I want to. You punch me. That makes. And then they start fighting. And then Javon Evans shows up, and they got to hold everybody back. Just so happens that Javon is standing next to Ricky Stark Saints, and Ethan Page is standing next to Wesley. And Ava's like, all right, fine. That match you made for next week between just you and just you, I have a great idea. My best ideas are always to add other people into matches they don't belong in. So now it's a tag team match. Playa, holla, holla. And that's what we did.
There was a lot to like about this. As far as the name change goes, I'm kind of with you. This feels more like Raquel Gonzalez to Raquel Rodriguez-y. Like it doesn't feel too far off. It's a nice little New Orleans shout. There's also a lot of high-end brands and cool music that has the word Saints in it. Like it feels like it kind of resonates with the character. It doesn't flow the same. If I was WWE, I'd probably, if there's not like audio things, I would have just done Ricky Starks with the Z instead of an S or something. But I don't hate it as much as I hate a lot of other ones. It's going to take some getting used to for sure. I love Ethan Page being the guy to interrupt, just also because it feels like top title adjacent guy is Ethan Page right now. So if Ricky Starks isn't immediately going to go after the North American title or something, Ricky Starks coming in against him just makes sense because it's immediately like a top guy in the promotion. Javon coming out was awesome. There's something really special with Javon where we talked about this, and I was nervous that him being bouncy guy was going to be the extent of his character. When he's fixated on someone and needs to go after him. Yeah, he's great. Like laser locked in Javon Evans is something really fun and special to see. The ending to that match at Vengeance Day was some of the best in-match storytelling they've done in a very long time. The whole way that match was laid out was really great. But I like Wesley also being in the mix here. And even as far as like the tag match goes, it doesn't make a lot of sense. You're 100% right about that. Hot tag Ricky Starks, though, is going to be really, really fun, I think. Like him getting to tag in is going to be really good.
He's not a tag guy. I don't want to see him do a hot tag. I want to see him wrestle a match.
Well, he'll get there, but yes,
I know, but I don't care to spend any time doing that before we get to actual Ricky Starks. You know, like
I don't know what I'm more intrigued if it's is it going to be him versus Tony D'Angelo at Stand and Deliver? Do we think?
I don't know. Tony D has things he's got to do. He's not even on TV. He's got his underboss losing. They're doing a whole feud. Like, I don't know how long that lasts. Either it's going to be too short or too long.
But that's kind of my thing is if he's bound for the main roster, like Money in the Bank time, which I think is like the perfect place for him to go. aren't these all kind of going to be really exhibition matches? Like, I don't think he's going to be in any title picture before he gets called up. So I'm kind of all right with, like, yes, it's stupid to add steps in by adding other people because they do it constantly on the show. Yeah. But, like, I don't think he's going to be here long enough to be challenging for titles. I think it's just going to be him facing a bunch of top guys until he gets called up. So is what it is. But I agree with you that they so frequently interject the additional step of adding people or adding complications to stories instead of just telling stories of like everything's a multi-person match, or like, I know you were number one contender, but you're not actually number one contender for this reason, that reason, or the other. Yes. So
yeah, those are always
yeah, they're definitely going to do stuff like a Saints Row faction, or just like his fans are going to be Saints Row or whatever.
Yeah.
But you mentioned this a while back. I think it might have even been Cyclo in the chat who had said, like, Ricky Stark's main roster debut, Mr. Money in the Bank, is like, feels so right. Feels so right.
Unfortunately, I feel like that's, I feel like he's, I don't know. Their timeline with people is so crazy, but I would be more surprised if he was on the main roster in July this year. I would be more surprised if he was on the main roster by July this year than I would be if he was the NXT champion at Stand and Deliver 2026.
Alex, historically, you and I are so correct on call-ups, though.
But now I'm doing the opposite. When normally I'm like, he's going up. He's going up. He's going up.
He has nothing left to prove here. What's he still doing here? Yeah.
And because I have been wrong so many times on imminent call-up, obviously he'll be in the Rumble, blank, for going now to Trick Williams, who I certainly thought would be on the main roster by now. Like, all these people, because I'm a little gun shy. So now I'm just basically whatever I think he should have debuted on the main roster, but we're not going to talk about that. I don't feel like the arc is not long enough for whatever they're planning on doing for him to go up by July. But I would be love to be wrong. Prove me wrong. Make him a big enough star on the main roster by July that he's not only in the Money in the Bank match but wins it.
Louise, he's still like 3 years off, though. He's 35. He's got to wait till he's like 38, 39 to get that main roster push. Yeah, but I do think, like, he's someone you don't contain to NXT. Like, he's the best talker on the main roster the second he's invited to the main roster, I feel like. So hopefully he goes up sooner than later.
He was great in this promo, man.
I loved too, just the inflections of, why is everyone so mad around him?
Yeah, I know.
It got me so good.
Yeah,
like, he's so natural. Even honestly, just complimenting Sarah Schreiber's outfit and stuff, like, cool look though, or whatever. Like, he's so locked in on who he is. It's great.
So everybody was standing around backstage in Gorilla when he walked through to go to his contract signing, and he comes back through and everyone's laid out. He doesn't address this except for go, wow, everything's crazy here, huh? I think there's a chance that they're going to make him be the guy who's actually secretly the one leading this thing. If they have
masterminding,
if they haven't identified the leader of this thing by WrestleMania, maybe like he is shown to be the leader then, the guy who's been pulling the strings the whole time. Like, I think maybe
that would be kind of cool.
I mean, we'll see.
Like, it's really, just because I don't know enough about the other people in the faction, like, I feel like Ricky Starks and Saquon Sugars would be like that's a special duo.
He did keep saying the Revolution, which is his catchphrase.
It is now televised.
But however, it does also fit in with these people showing up and wrecking everybody. That is a revolution.
On television, in fact.
I mean, and it is televised technically. Jambeard says, in honor of Ricky becoming a New Orleans Saint, from now on I'll be called Canadian Jam. There you Matthew Hook says Kate is fantabulous. Stroke Daddy Ricky is a better name.
He'll forever be the Stroke Daddy.
Jambeard says, I understand why he switched to Saints because he's from New Orleans. But not only does it feel like a downgrade, it's not bad though, but it definitely does sound like a name from Brazzers.
I don't fully disagree with it, but it's not full-on porn accountant bad.
No. Michael Higgins says, I imagine him not being called Starks is due to Zoe Stark being on the roster. No, I don't think that they would have a problem with that. Like necessarily, that wouldn't be the reason not to do it. They don't ever have to like interact with each other. And there are multiple people with the same surname who probably went to your high school. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter.
God. Look across the pond. The pages and cages and ages. Oh my! My guess is it's a licensing thing. Like they didn't want to. Listen, I will give them Saint if they don't give me some Def Rebel ass theme. You can have Saint.
Hold on. Ricky Saint.
Alex is now uninvited. This is what happens when I get a real setup, ladies and gentlemen. You don't get to mess around with that kind of nonsense. You know what? While Alex is off screen, let me tell you all about FightfulSelect.com, okay? It's the best $6 in the business. Plenty of scoops going on back there. More contract news. Plenty going on. The details of Ricky Starks were on the way. Will Ospreay doing some cool match production stuff on the Indies was a Corey Brennan scoop, but there's lots going on. Lots going on FightfulSelect.com. Should we bring Alex back? If he's still doing Def Rebel stuff,
I would never.
You better not.
I would never. Jay Miller says apparently there's a PC wrestler named Drake Starks. Change that around. A guy who hasn't debuted on TV isn't the reason why he's not Ricky Starks.
No, but I could see Ricky Saints being like, cool ass name though.
Yeah, that would be very funny. Rafael Garcia says, I don't know what the puns are today, but if I had to take a hard guess, Ricky calls himself an artist. Sometimes Ricky paints.
We'll take that pun, but they're NFL puns.
While I like some moving parts in this show, I do have some Ricky complaints.
Sure.
Good to see Moose. Hope there's no Ricky restraints.
I certainly hope not.
That's good. Tony P says, if you think Ricky changing his name to Saints was bad, the Def Rebel theme is about to come soon.
No!
I want to believe in my head WWE made him. I want to believe in my head WWE made him choose between the Starks name and an outside theme, or keep it and have a Def Rebel theme. So he was like, okay, you have to change your name if you want to keep your theme. Which I just don't think it's going to be that theme. It'll be a different theme, but it won't be Def Rebel. But I think it's going to be Def Rebel.
Let's freaking hope not.
Will Chisholm says, nice to see Ricky with his little sister Ava, LOL. Because he is Rocky Jr.
The Rock. I like it. Guys, we're not going to read weird tribalistic super chat. So just like save your money, and we'll also like be timeouting people that go over the line. But just don't.
Eli says, evening Fightful fam. I haven't made an NXT stream in a while. Hope you guys are well. All I can imagine is the Stan Lee cameo in Avengers. I got a package for Ricky Stank.
I'm just glad it's not Ricky Stanicki.
Me too. Well, also, this way he can keep his name for when he leaves and goes back to AEW in 10 years. Like.
Yeah, you get to reserve it. Yeah.
Keep it a gun. Just Ricardo says ravishing Rick Rudy. Jambeard says Ricky's new theme will be a Def Rebel knockoff version of the song When the Saints Come Marching In.
No, don't give them ideas.
When the Saints go marching. Not
the butt rock version of When the Saints Go Marching In, please.
Broadway Joe says petition to change his name to Cody Falcons.
No,
Ricky Saints and Cody Falcons because he's from Atlanta. Cody Rhodes is from Atlanta, and Ricky Stark is from New Orleans.
Oh my gosh, I can already hear the CM Punk promo. Those aren't the type of teams that I follow. I follow hockey.
And then you change Charlotte's name to Carolina Panthers because she's from Charlotte.
Do you want to keep going?
No. Everyone is from Tampa, so it definitely would be a lot of people who are Buccaneers. But,
so many Buccaneers.
Yeah. Jason Blair says, absolute. That's what Def Rebel's gonna do. That's what Jason Blair
Why are you guys personally hurting me today? I get you this beautiful setup that's actually working.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is, at least for the most part.
So a no quarter catch crew interrupts the Blurry Boys talking about stuff, and we're coming after the best tag team in the world, maybe the best tag team ever, but not you guys. We want the Hardy Boys in Cincinnati next week. And I was like, I mean, I copped to not watching them since they left AEW. Have they gotten better since they left AEW?
Here's the thing, like I'm not following TNA.
I don't know. I'm waiting to see. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I get it for the nostalgia pop, and from what I know, they've been like making adjustments, the adjustments you have to make later in your career, but I'm not like super hyped on this just because I'm not following it, and last time that I've seen these guys in the ring, it hasn't been there. So I do think no quarter catch crew is a way better idea than Fraxium, because I think keeping up with Fraxium is way too hard. So I feel more confident of the match that this is going to be than Fraxium versus them would be. But I'm just not like hyped on it.
It very well may be, considering I think they're for sure doing Moose versus Oba at Roadblock in Madison Square Garden Theater. I think it's very possible we get Blurry Boys versus the Hardys at that Madison Square Garden show to sell tickets. You know, like
that would make sense.
Name. Like maybe we're getting kind of like top name in NXT versus a top name in TNA type of thing, but staggered in a way that the right people get to win. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really sure.
Why are there so many corny people in the chat today? I'm just blocking them, helping out Luis a little bit. We'll see how that goes. I think it would be kind of cool if they did like a triple threat with them and the Rascals or something. That would be really fun.
Yeah. Eli says, please no Def Rebel theme. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Sainty.
You know what it is too? It's like Ricky is too cool to have a lame theme. Like there's some people that can get away with it, like, but no, no, not for Ricky. No.
Anyway, the Hardys did accept in another video, so.
Oh, good. Okay.
They will be having that match. Stax had his match versus Shawn Spears. It did not go well for Stax. Shawn Spears didn't, in fact, win with a lot of very damaging moves to the neck. That's his thing now. Like, Beach does not look like he belongs in this group. Like, Nico Vance and Shawn Spears have the same entire aura facially, with the high and tight and like shaved on the sides and the very clipped beard. And then Izzy is very like sleek and, you know, like and he just looks like a wild man stepped out of the woods. And it just doesn't. It looks like Hacksaw Jim Duggan grew out all of his stuff in 1989. You know, it just,
man,
he doesn't fit the vibe. I honestly really like the vibe that he's going for, but it doesn't fit the vibe of the faction he's part of.
No. Shawn Spears is doing such high level fashion I can't even like comprehend too. But man, it felt like he had a lot of momentum, and then they were just like, not anymore, though. Like they did so much work with him, and he got so good at this unhinged character. I know there were like things on social media that went a little far that people and presumably maybe WWE didn't love, but like in the spirit of being the unhinged character, kind of felt more like Brian Pillman, kind of felt more like the loose cannon that Brian Pillman Jr. Lexus King ever has, and then they just retconned that whole thing to make it pretend that he was. So I'm kind of bummed that he stepped so forward, and he was doing so many things outside of like the context of just what they gave as far as being like disruptive and all these things, and then they just didn't really pay it off. It's a bummer, and now he's just a guy in a faction. I think his ceiling is higher than he's being given right now based on what we saw of him in that brief period of time. So our dear Beach, God bless. But I agree with you. I dig what he's going for. It doesn't feel like it fits in this group. And it also feels like Shawn Spears adopted him like 4 months ago and they just didn't do anything with it. So he kind of like absorbed him into this group, and then now what, right? Like,
I'm pretty sure it was closer to 6 months ago. Like,
it is mid-February. You might be right.
It's been a long time. Like,
they had a stall out during the holidays for sure. Like, just on progression of storyline.
No, I always
Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve were both Tuesdays, so they kind of just had to forfeit 2 weeks and all of that.
Right. Yeah. So it was a good little match. I think that, Stack's trying to like take over because nobody's heard from Tony D. I don't know what to do. He told me to step up. This is how I'm stepping up. But it didn't work out for him. So I don't know where this is all going, but like, I don't know what the plan is for any of these people, but like, if you wanted to do Shawn Spears and his faction takes the title from Tony D in time to get a Ricky Starks versus Shawn Spears match for Mania weekend, and Ricky Starks beats Shawn Spears. No. You know what I mean? Like, I know, but like, I don't.
And cut.
I know.
I don't want Ricky Starks there. Any of this nonsense.
No, I understand, but like, I don't know what it is. But like the Tony Starks, Ricky's. The thing of it is that
Ricky Saints.
I said Tony Starks, but what I meant was Tony D'Angelo, Ricky Starks thing, because that people seem to be thinking maybe that's the plan, because it doesn't feel like it's possible for them to be like, you know what, Ricky, you're gonna beat Oba in a few months. Like, that doesn't feel like that's on the horizon. So then you give him the next biggest championship in NXT, and that's currently being held by Tony D'Angelo, who just started what feels like a pretty long arc of a story with Shawn Spears and his crew. So that feels like that's a story that ends with a big title defense at WrestleMania weekend, which means, what do you do with Ricky? Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's I don't know. So that's my
I wonder if they have like a Ricky Saints and Ethan Page program that brings them both to the main roster.
Maybe.
But man, it's like you're just getting some depth to that division. You don't want to rob it like so quick. Yeah. But that's why I'm like, does Starks even sniff an NXT title in this time?
He did say he's coming he did say he's coming for the top title. But like, I don't feel like that's a thing that you can confidently say when Oba Femi is holding it. And really, if Oba Femi had been holding it for a year or even 8 to 9 months, maybe. But he just became the champion. I don't feel like you're hot potatoing, maybe.
Triple threat.
That would piss off Oba Femi. That'd be a lot of fun. That's actually the way I would do it. That's the way I would do it. I don't know who's the third guy. Ethan, Wesley. I don't know who it is. But have Ricky pins that guy, and Oba is going to come after Ricky Starks, and that's when you reveal that Ricky's actually been in charge of the faction this whole time.
Don't hate that.
You can't come after me in the title because you got to go through all these guys. Have fun. Like, maybe that's the way you do it. Jam Beard says that Beach looks like he should have been Insanity. You know, with the weird thing.
He kind of does.
He does look like he's a sanity guy. He does. And Luis says every faction needs a loose cannon, so I will allow Beach being in on that group. I think that's fine, but can he be a loose cannon while not looking like he doesn't belong at all in the thing? I mean,
I hate to say this because I actually really like Shawn Spears. If you've followed my content for a while, you know that like I was a very big Ty Dillinger gal and a big Shawn Spears gal, and I loved him with the glove in AEW. Like I'm big on him. This faction does not work for me. I'm not like SP3 levels of being out on it because he said some very aggressive things in the chat last week. But I don't think this faction raises the ceilings for anybody at NXT.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of diabolical characters right now. I feel like Shawn Spears could lighten up.
Right. Speaking of things that are evil, everybody in creative from making me watch whatever the hell's going on with Chase U. You are evil. I hate you, and you've made my life worse.
You don't do Hudson away from me.
Where the hell? Get witness protection on the phone. I want to know if you know where Thea Hale is.
She's had a back injury.
That's too bad for her. That sucks.
She's coming back very soon, though. I think like next week soon. But she's been out with a back injury.
Is she coming back to talk some sense into Andre Chase, and they're gonna restart the fucking college? Because if so, her back can stay injured. I'm sorry, like
which back injuries because you don't like creative.
I maybe like the creative. I don't want her to re-injure her back. I just like maybe it's not fully all the way there. I just this is so awful, Kate. They finally got rid of this faction that had been hanging around for so damn long, and we can't move past it because the only thing we can do with this guy, Harlem Bravado, aka Andre Chase, is this. All we can do is this. So Eddie Thorpe is saying, hey, where's my title shot? I just beat Trick Williams. He's like, well, you don't get a title shot. Well, no, he just beat Trick Williams. That's the biggest match of his career. If you didn't put him over Trick Williams to start a big push for Eddie Thorpe, I don't know why you did it. And apparently why you did it was so that he could be the villain in a Chase U reemergence story. Because that is a great way to capitalize on a shocking win that most of us did not predict. Eddie Thorpe beating Trick Williams, and he did. And what you've got for him apparently is that he can be the bad guy in an Andre Chase should probably restart the university.
No, because Trick Williams came back for him later in the episode. Though,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I know he's going to have that match too, but he's going to lose it. He's going to lose that match, Trick Williams, and then he's going to be angry, and he's going to take it on Andre Chase, and then they're going to keep that thing going. I've decided that bad things are happening because I'm in a bad mood. So
you can't restart the university because who's the MVP of the university, Alex?
Apparently, it's Cale Dixon and his friend with a mustache.
Where's the trophy?
Listen, these guys apparently think they speak for. It would be one thing if they were like in canon students of the university. And are like, we paid for all this tuition. We'd at least like to be able to take classes. Like maybe that was it, but they just decide now we're like big fans of Andre Chase and the university, and we want him to face Eddie Thorpe because Eddie Thorpe is mean, and they get him the match, and Andre Chase doesn't want it, but he comes out and he like starts getting flashbacks to wrestling, and oh my, this is if you are making Corey Graves and especially Booker T the voice of reason opposite Vic Joseph, who's like, look, two guys wearing Chase U shirts. Obviously, the university has reopened. We will be accepting FAFSAs in the spring. Like, what are we doing? What, like, this is terrible. No, all Booker T also says, look at what Andre Chase is wearing. Looks like he picked it up at the local Goodwill, and it does look like that. However, that's just the stuff he was wearing during all of his matches from before, just without the Chase U shirt over it. It's the exact same stuff. They were making fun of his Temu Jordans. Those are the same damn shoes he wore for every match when he was a guy you liked.
I just appreciate that there's a financial aid program for Chase University. Fill out your FAFSAs for Chase U is crazy. From somebody who has come on here week after week and said this isn't a real university. You're now very worried about the funding. Yeah, I hope this is a one-off. I'm concerned because Eddie Thorpe didn't really get a reaction coming out for this too. That sucks. Because Eddie Thorpe is great, and I felt like that match was good, and I felt like his character has been picking up steam in the correct direction of things. But I don't think anybody was like, oh, you know what I want to see is the follow-up is this. But I also don't know who else you put in that role if this is the story you're telling. Yeah. To your point, maybe this is not the story you should be telling. But I would be for Thea Hale coming back to say, you're going to hate this, but then you'll also like it because this wraps it up, I think. Like, Chase U wasn't about the university. Chase U was about you and me, the relationships with the people in the university and things like that.
I know. Yeah.
So this, like, sad Corbin thing about it feels like I'm hoping a short-lived pit stop, but it's just very weird. The whole thing is very weird.
Do you know what and whom would be a vital part of that story?
Duke Hudson?
Yeah, like you can't do the Thea Hale comes back by herself and maybe with Riley Osborne to be like, Chase U is about us, about all of us, except for the people who aren't here because they got released.
Like, the one that had a trophy every week.
You can't do a Chase U has always been about us, about family.
I've solved
it. One of the most important parts of that thing.
I solved it. Here it is.
Okay.
Thea Hale is just frozen. All of her, like, high energy stuff. She's just, she's ping-ponging back and forth, but in her head, and she's frozen. And Andre Chase says, Thea, oh my God, what's the matter? She has killed Duke Hudson. Because she found out Duke Hudson was going to try and break up the university further from the inside. He had all these plans to ruin the remnants of what remained. So she killed him in the parking lot. And Andre Chase says, oh my God, I will be your alibi. And so that's where the story picks back up. Releasing Duke Hudson is so stupid. Like, on so many levels.
On so many levels. Like you're still actively telling the Chase U story. It's not over yet. You're reviving it.
No, so thank God. I know you're excited.
I know. Oh, I can't wait. But if even like we released him because we don't see him as a main roster guy.
Can extremely you shallow men's singles division.
A, they're wrong, and B, even if that's what you think, keep him around until the end of this storyline. Like,
yeah.
Like, his contract wasn't up, right? They just released him.
No, that's what was actually so compelling about that first vignette that he did on his own was he was like, this, you weren't a part of, like, there was the good Duke and the bad Duke, or like the accepting of what happened Duke and the unaccepting of what happened Duke. And that one said, like, you weren't a part of a budget cut release. Like, this was targeted at you specifically. So, no, his contract wasn't up. I don't know if maybe there were conversations about like, hey, this guy's ceiling is to move on from this. And Triple H was like, well, I don't know. I don't see this 6-foot guy with a face guard and incredible pendulum backbreaker who put on these great matches and has comedic timing as anything that could be useful on the main roster.
I don't know. Maybe if Thea didn't get injured, they would have told the story, but the story needs to be like Duke and Riley form a tag team and they go on and get a few victories and they get a tag team title match. They come really close, but they don't win. Thea is out here doing stuff. She gets a number 1 contendership for the North American title match. She comes really close, but doesn't win. And then Andre Chase is there and he's all depressed, but they're not depressed. They've moved on. And we're still all friends. the university is just the friends we made along the way. Like that's what Chase U was the whole time. And
they all really graduated, it turns out.
And they're out there having success. They're still hanging out backstage. They're still friends. Like we text you every night that we're going down to have a pizza, in the quad or whatever. You know what I mean? And you never respond.
Alex
What's
loves
up?
this angle now. Look.
No, I would hate it, but it would be better than whatever the hell this is, because it's terrible. Because Kale Dixon and his friend with a mustache, by the way, I know that's Uriah Connors. However, they're not doing a whole lot to distinguish him beyond being Kale Dixon's friend who has a mustache. Look, Alex is booking compelling Chase U stuff. Yes, that is what I do.
Because you love it.
Will Chisholm says it's becoming Neo 2000. By the way, why does Mr. Chase now look like Tom Green? LOL. He's always looked like Tom Green. It's the hair now. And apparently Thea competed on a house show this past weekend and posted a blog on Instagram called Chaotic Coffee Adventures, and it rules, says Louise. So
there you go. Good. I'm glad she's better.
Anyway, Andre Chase has a lot of hope spots, and then Eddie Thorpe finally does end up beating him. And then Trick Williams shows up on the Titantron, and he says that if I'm going to hell, I'm going to drag you under with me, is what he says. This is almost like it was a strap match, and he lost because he used the strap to force Eddie used the strap and yanking on it to force Trick to punch himself in the balls. And that was how Trick lost. But those are the rules of the match. The rules of the match are there's no such thing as a low blow, and he lost.
Correct.
As clean as you can lose in a match where there are no rules, he lost clean. Doesn't this mirror the ridiculous little mini feud he had with Pete Dunne, where the first match he had with Pete Dunne, he lost so clean you could eat off the floor of the loss? And then he was like, we're not done. Like, he gets to make that decision? Like, you lost clean. And in this match, taking the loss the way you lost was clean. And you're just like, we're not done yet. They just keep doing this with Trick Williams, where he gets into a feud with a guy, loses the first match clean, and then says, we're not done, and then has another one in which he wins. So I guess we're doing maybe people are saying that's gotta be a Raw Underground match. So we're gonna do Eddie Thorpe versus
that would make sense. That would make sense. I do think the element of brutality in this one was supposed to add a different flavor to it. So I get that. But Trick Williams does feel like the most, we don't know how to book the most over guy that we've had guy. Like it is, you don't have to do a lot with him.
Right.
And someone like him. I don't know if Pete Dunne and Eddie Thorpe were the right promo opponents for him. Like, now that Ricky Starks is here, I'm like, please put him in a ring with Ricky Starks. Mm-hmm. But like, I feel like somebody that I don't know if doing those almost, I don't want to say back to back because they weren't, but like for longer term feuds, I don't know if that was the right call, would be like those guys. But I also like there's not a lot of meat on the bone when you've already gone through Ethan Page. Like, as far as guys who can go kind of like toe to toe, that would, I think, elevate him
like
the way that he needs.
If Trick Williams is a long-term NXT guy, an extended Ricky Starks Trick Williams non-title feud to keep Ricky Starks and Trick Williams both busy while Oba does other stuff in the main event slot,
please,
would be pretty great. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
I don't know.
There, like, he needs someone in the same ballpark as like the same flavor of cool that he is. Where Eddie Thorpe and Pete Dunne are very different flavors of cool, which sometimes makes for great feuds, but it doesn't feel like it fully clicked.
Right. So We got the Fatal Influencers versus Team Top of the Card, and
Top of the card is so good.
that's what they are.
That should be used more often.
And when you do one of these matches where it's like 3 people who are so OP, like these 3 women are the top of the card in the division, like completely. And then you have some suitable upper mid card heels. I always go, why is this taking longer than 5 minutes? You know what I mean? Like I listen, I love Fallon and I really like JC. I think they are consummate professionals. And yes, Jasmine Nix of the Many Continents has improved quite a great deal. But you cannot think that these teams are on the same level as each other, because you haven't booked them in that way whatsoever. You haven't presented in that way whatsoever. And so I'm watching this going, Julia and Stephanie, and like as soon as Jasmine Nix tags in, that's it. None of those women are getting anywhere near the ring for the rest of the time. They just beat the hell out of Jasmine Nix, and because she's got so much less experience than everybody else in that ring. Years and years and years less experience than everybody else in that ring. And
and they didn't agent spots that were so clever that like exactly. you have to be really careful about your match.
They agented us a thing where Jasmine Nix hit the Nix kick on Jordan Grace,
which is good, but like
and then went for the pin, and then they were supposed to do a big thing where each of the baby faces pushed one of the other heels onto the pile, and both heels missed the pile by a foot. So they just went toppling over adjacent to the pile. And so we just had to have Jordan Grace kick out. By the way, kicking out, you know what? What's it called? Fire Thunder Driver. That thing, right?
Yes.
Is that what it's called? No. It's the other thing. What's the one? The reverse Death Valley Driver. It's a reverse one. What is that one? The one where they're laying across your shoulders, but they're face up, not face down, and then you drop them on their head. Now I can't remember what that one's called. It's going to come up in the chat, and I'm going to like lose my mind. That no one's allowed to kick out of.
The burning hammer.
Burning hammer. No one's allowed to kick out of a burning hammer. You know what else? They're not. Everybody in there is burning hammer. Everyone in the chat now is caught up. They're doing it all now. Thank you very much. I get it. Burning hammer. No one's allowed to kick out of a burning hammer. You know what else they're not allowed to kick out of? A fucking muscle buster.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like you had Jordan Grace come in and hit a muscle buster on JC Jane in a 6-person tag match, and one of the other 2 people who is friends with JC Jane they don't come in and break it up. Like, it's a muscle buster. That's the thing that, like, it literally ended a dude's career. Like people say, oh, that ends careers. No, fucking Tyson Kidd doesn't wrestle anymore because a muscle buster went wrong. Like, that is a thing that, like, you don't kick. It's not a singles match for a title. 28 minutes into a 2-count spot fest. It is a 6-person tag match. It doesn't matter. Some moves are protected on general principle. That is one of them.
This is so
absolutely good. Samoa Joe is somewhere hanging out with Hook and Shibata going, what happened?
He was the ops went to have a beer and he just got very upset for no reason. It's not as bad, but it's not much better than just like when Ethan Page came in and they were like, well, the Ego's Edge is not protected. Like it's the same kind of thing. This match was pretty good. And I feel like it's tough because Fallon Henley had her best match that we've seen, I feel like, against Steph, and she was great. And we said on the Vengeance Day post, so she's been low-key great for a long time. So we're taking the keys and we're dragging that. But I think that's what they're going for too, is like, if this is a championship level act, even though it was the mid-card one, we're supposed to be able to buy that this is a top of the card act. So they should be able to hang. Jasmine Nix has always been that outlier because they were like the veterans of NXT at Jasmine Nix. So that's the case here again. It would be cool because she gets so few reps if she was way smarter than her experience level on some of these things. Like if it was just like, whoa, like she's clever as hell. She's gotten better and she's been impressive in what she's been allowed. This is kind of the trouble with the women's division being so stacked, is like these people aren't getting the reps that would allow you to build them to the top of the card with them. Yeah. Like JC Jane doesn't get to have a ton of matches. She's just mostly interfering in Fallon's, right? So those kind of things don't really allow as much women's wrestling as there is on this. The division is just so extensive. So that was my biggest note too, was that Muscle Buster spot felt wrong. Wrong to do that. But it was some fun stuff though.
Jordan Grace hits her what she does, Jordan Driver? I don't know what they call that. I'm assuming it's called Jordan Driver because usually people hit something like that and they call it blank my name driver. You know what I mean? Like anyway, she hits it.
She has something more clever than that, I feel like.
I don't know what it's called. I've seen her do it a lot of times. I've just never picked up the name of it. Grace Driver.
The Grace Driver. So not that much more clever.
No. So but it looks cool. She hits it on Jordan Nix, get the victory. So Juggernaut Driver, is that what it's called? Because she is the Juggernaut.
Okay, yeah. I was like, I thought it was something more clever than that, but I haven't.
Basically, I mean, she's called the Juggernaut. So, you know.
It's better than first name Driver.
It's better than first name Driver. You know what I mean? It is.
Yeah.
The Jug Driver, that's a good one. Jug Driver is good.
Gotta be careful with that.
Jugger not getting up from that. Like that, you could do that. You throw in a not pun. But
if you do 2 Jug Drivers, though, that's not good. Because all of a sudden now you got the Jugs Driver. We don't want that.
No.
The Pulaski Driver. The Sour Driver.
Anyway, here's the deal.
What's the deal, Alex?
She wins, and then in comes Stephanie, and in comes Julia, and they stand there.
That's the one. The Driver not.
Yeah, they each hold up the title. And then they look over at Jordan, and she looks over at both titles. And I don't know, man. Right now, it looks like to me like we're doing triple threat with both titles on the line. That's what it looks like to me at Stag and Deliver. But I don't think we are. But that is how they have presented these 3 women. Jordan just got there. I get it. But there's nobody on the level of these women. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, who's your 4th? Who's the woman who's coming after? Like, you are setting up that these 3 women are equal on top, and there's going to be a 4th woman, I'm assuming, or multiple women who are challenging for the other title involved. But, like, they're not at all part of any of this. So
it should be.
It's
not Delta, which is weird.
That is who it should be. But it's not. It's not. We should see it. I don't know. The final thing that happens on the entire show is that there's a cameraman running next to the building, and he gets up there, and 2 rookies and a guy who reads and a guy who doesn't know how sleeves work are walking away from a broken window. And they're backing up like, yeah. And the camera guy goes in there, and Robert Stone, he's laid out, bloodied on the ground. And apparently the guy who doesn't know how sleeves work has infected Robert Stone because his shirt is halfway ripped off of his body. And he's laying there like this. And in comes Ava. She's like, oh my God, Stone, are you okay? What's going on? And she looks up, and someone had written, I guess in Stone's blood, no one is safe, on the wall of this office. And she goes, what the hell is going on? Well, what the hell is going on, Ava, is that these 4 guys attacked A, your tag team champions, and B, your world champion on Saturday at the play. And you were like, I'll deal with that later. So, like, that should have been your number 1 priority, and it wasn't at all. And now these guys have been allowed to run roughshod, and they've murdered Robert Stone. That's a dead man laying over there. He's not getting up. So look, you basically Ava killed Robert Stone, and I don't like through negligence on her part. She dismissed these guys entirely. Maybe that's why they're so upset. I don't know.
My internet was cutting out. I was panicking trying to set up this stream.
No, sure, I get it. I get it.
I missed this, but I'm sad to hear that Robert Stone has been murdered.
Left this world, unfortunately.
Honestly, like feels kind of preventable because we should have seen this coming. Chad Gable survived getting shot in the side of the head, so hopefully.
Yeah.
And if there's anything that NXT can gain from a TNA talent exchange, it's how to survive several murders on your show and eventually just come back, because that's what's happened there. But what a chump, poor guy. But I am like trying to stay open-minded and intrigued by this, because I think it's really cool when just like 4 new heels show up somewhere.
Sure.
But are they going to get Lexus by Oba Femi?
They don't have a great track record of 4 new heels show up, and then they're gonna they're disrupting everything. Gosh, what? Oh my goodness, they're going to be a force of nature, and then they are presented that way until they come up against the first person that they're fighting against, and then they get put down. So we'll just see what that is. Unless they have a very important and charismatic leader.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's why when Ryan Chikini says, I don't want this group to have a vet to lead them. Have Dion lead. Saquon the mouthpiece. Cutler is a former Duke wrestler. It's a good mix. I mean, that's what works with the Shield. I don't have any attachment to any of these people because I've never seen them on the NXT product before, except for Dion Lennox, and his whole thing is he was a nerd who got friend zoned. That was his deal on TV. So I don't have attachments to them, in that kind of way.
Yes, but like I didn't know who the Shield was until they showed up.
Right, but is that the last time they did this in a way that actually worked? And all the times before that didn't? Because the Nexus ended up getting squashed. The Nexus 2, the Core with 2 R's? The Core.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about the Core.
Like they've done this multiple times in the last 15 years. The one time it worked, it was because the 3 guys that were in it were fucking Roman Reigns, fucking Seth Rollins, and fucking Jon Moxley. If those 3 guys weren't in it, maybe that thing fizzles entirely. You know what I mean?
Sure, but what I mean is you had a mix of guys that was led by one mouthpiece, but they could all low-key be great, right? Like Dean Ambrose was the guy that talked for them for a long time. A long time. Like nobody knew Seth Rollins was capable, but he was capable of on screen unless you were following Tyler Black, etc. Right? So my hope is that maybe Lucky Ali, Saquon Sugars is the guy to be that front of the line leader, and then the other guys will hopefully catch up. But you're right to be suspicious. They've very rarely succeeded in doing one of these. And I also just feel like I wish they switched up the presentations from being so repeatable from one another, because this doesn't feel different.
Yes, also, it doesn't just extend to WWE, says Luis. Look at the Firm, Honor No More, and TNA. Like they do this a lot.
Oh my God, the Death Riders right now.
Well, yeah. No, that was too bad. Jam Beard says, called them Shield Exus.
Shield Exus, Shield Tribution.
Shield Tribution to me is the Shield Tribution vibes. And Lever Boost talking about old Beej. He says, did I miss when Jack Perry signed with NXT and joined a faction with Shawn Spears? Also, during that match, he says they had 1997 Triple H playing ringside security, which is true. They did. He did separate.
I saw that.
He did separate Izzy Dame from Big Ange. That was kind of fun. Jordan Grace last year said she calls her Muscle Buster Shades of Samoa, which is a fantastic name for that move.
That's cool.
Homage. And in TNA, she called the other move the Grace Driver. So there you go. It's a Juggernaut Driver here, but a Grace Driver there. Let's see here. Jambeard says, I kept saying Moose will fight Oba as a joke. NXT, I didn't actually mean it. That's what Jambeard says. So that's fun. And just Ricardo asks, Alex isn't a moose knuckler, huh? Just when I wear tight pants. Let's see. And yes, Luis pointing out that ZSJ versus good old Mance Warner is set for the March 2nd GACW show in Arizona. So that should
Hell yeah, that should be a blast.
All right, we got a lot of puns. Hold on. We also got something from your dad too. Paul Elizabeth says, greetings from the frozen northeastern United States. May tonight's show serve once again as the antidote to NXT. So go Team Kalex, go Supermod Luis, and go Sir JW of Pringle. We're all counting on you.
Shout out to my dad, who is the reason I have a functioning setup right now, and also to my parents who have been dealing with power outages and issues far worse than mine. They've been on and off, on and off. I'm sure all the groceries are spoiled in that poor fridge.
Tom, about is it Tom? Rossio, who's having the stream. I missed I forget the last name, but they had Adam Pierce on last night and got Pierce to show his feet for a $500 donation. Both Tom LaValle and Jambeard pointing that out. So if you want,
my goodness,
go to the stream if you want to see Adam Pierce feet. If you particular brand of sicko, then that's for you. Football puns due to Ricky Saints. Lieutenant Photo says A-Town touchdown under. Thank you.
Very nice.
There we go. Insert clever Nixon Newell pun. The Denver Broncos quarterback, former Oregon Duck, Bo Nixon Newell.
Well done.
Doc Chris Mueller says Walter D'Angelo. Well, Walter
nice. Nice to see Doc Mueller around. We love him.
And Jack the Fridge Perry. Jack the Refrigerator Perry. John Wick says the Young Buccaneers.
Sure.
Mr. J77 says Ace Steelers. Alan Jeanette says Minnesota Viking Raiders.
Alan! We love you. Sorry about your cap.
Insert clever Nixon Newell pun says Nixon New Antoine Randall L. That was a long way to get to the L in Nixon Newell.
That took a minute, but we'll take it.
Mm-hmm. Aubrey and Dad Talk Wrestling says Andre the New York Giant.
They're back!
Aubrey and Dad Talk Wrestling are back. I thought we drove you away with our content.
We love you so much. You're so wholesome.
The most wholesome members of the SGS. Alan Jeanette says Super Bowl HHH.
It's time to play the game.
Jambeard says this cookie gets a legion of boom. There you go.
We bring them.
Alan Jeanette says Indianapolis Colt Cabana.
That's a good one.
C. Delgado says Zach Jaguar Jr. Terrell Owens Hart. Time to delay of game. Willow Nightingale Sayers. Bad News Cleveland Browns. SoFi Sokoa.
SoFi Sokoa is really good.
Rick Flare Out. Jambeard says Bam Bam Bangalo. Zach Steeler Jr. Techno Washington Football Team 2000. And Big Josh Allen.
Big Josh Allen. Those were all for me. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Alan Jeanette says Al Del Greco Roman Wrestling. Lieutenant Photo says Pick 619 and CM Punt. Boy, I'm ready to CM Punt on this whole babyface run of CM Punk. Lord, just make him a heel already.
Isn't it great to be alive here on the Sourgraph stream, Alex?
Jambeard says Revis Island of Relevancy. Punther. He's serving punt. Linebacker. Jambeard says the Oregon Duck Hudsons. Meet Enormous says Pylon Henley. End Zone Amore. Sonia Duval.
It's so good.
End Zone Amore is probably one of the best ones we've ever gotten. End Zone Amore is pretty amazing. Sonia Duval, which is, of course, what they say in Jacksonville.
Very nice.
Cleveland D'Lo Browns, Denver Mortos, Dallas Anxious Millennials, Cowboys, LA Get These Rams, and Dolphin Balor.
Very nice.
Great to see you guys.
Good to see you too.
Nice to see you. Where are you broadcasting from?
Well, being that I am Sean Red Sapp, I'm broadcasting from Great American Ballpark.
Red
Oh,
Sap.
okay.
Very good.
Yeah, there you go.
It's pretty cold here in the Northeast. I'm surprised that you're just like chilling outside without a coat on.
Well, we're built different here.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You just came on for some puns?
Yeah, that was
Alan
it.
Jeanette says the playoff roads to the Super Bowl. Not roads
Very
to
nice.
WrestleMania, but roads to the Super Bowl. Meet Norma says National Fusion League.
Very nice.
It's a Pure Fusion Connections, the National Fusion League.
Since Sean is
Then
here,
I-
we can do this one right now. The Jamar Chase U. Very
That's
nice.
a good one. That's a good
National
one.
Fusion League, National Fusion League of Nations, and Big Josh's Bears, the Chicago Big Josh's Bears. Meet Norma says DC Commanders.
It could extend to moves, and you could do the Joe Wheelbarrow suplex.
Nah, that's good. They're very
See,
good.
now we're
Very good.
cooking.
Philly Robbie Eagles and
Mm.
Colts Cabana. Louisville says Madden Day Maharaja. Jinder Mahal is the Madden Day Maharaja.
That is up there with Enzo Namore for sure.
Yeah. And Louisville also says Tecmo Team 2000.
That's
Tecmo
really-
Bowl, of course, the greatest football game ever made.
Bo Jackson forever.
Alan Jeanette says Baltimore Mavens.
That's really good too.
Everett Smith 903 says Ashanti the Adonis Creed.
Very good.
Alan Jeanette says Legion of Doom's lost brother, Seattle Seahawk.
Very nice. Very nice.
And Alan Jeanette says Jacksonville Jagcons.
Very good.
Louisville says cowboy shit.
That I mean, on so
Man,
many
yeah.
levels, is that
Yeah.
accurate? But well done.
Hey guys.
Yeah,
How about the Brooklyn Brawler?
sure.
Very
Yeah.
nice. Well
Meet
done.
Norma says,
Because he's already named after a city.
yep.
Got it.
You don't have to change anything.
Yeah. Meet Norma says 2-minute Wardlow.
2-minute Wardlow's really good. Sean really popped himself.
2 a day, Jose.
Whoa.
2-minute Tuesday is very good.
Laces out runners.
Very nice. And like an Ace Ventura reference, so
Any given Rusev Day. Teddy Longest Yard.
very nice.
Varsity Sky Blues. The interviewer on Monday Night Raw, Jackie Red Zone,
Very nice.
and of course Serving Punt.
Of course.
Everett Smith says Detroit Nikita Lions and Jalen Hurtslocker.
Very good.
Meet Norma says hello Alex Panther, Kathy Steelers of the Saucy Giant Syndicate, and then a request for a jukebox. There's also Gumbo del Sol and Shorty G-Men.
Shorty G-Man's very good.
All right. Okay.
What are you
oh,
eating?
I'm eating my little cheat snack of the week. Sour Patch Kids Sour Cherry Blasters.
Underrated
I don't even
in
know
the
if they
Sour family. Underrated.
I don't even know if they sell those here, but they had them at my local Dash Mart, and I was like, that's what I wanted. That's
Nice.
I wanted the little
Eli
Ritz
says-
gimmicks, but yeah.
Booker T. Higgins.
Very good.
Mm.
Very good.
Newly franchise tagged.
All
I
right,
mean, I'd hope so.
Louisville wants the Paw Pawlowski character to sing Saint Jimmy by Green Day, but Saint Ricky instead. St. Ricky's coming down the alleyway, up on the boulevard like a zip gun on parade. Light of a silhouette, he's insubordinate, coming at you on the count of 1, 2, 3, 4. My name is Ricky, and you better not wear it out. Suicide Commando that your mama talked about. King of the 40 Thieves, and I'm here to represent the needle in the vein of the establishment. I'm the patron Ricky Saint of the Denial with an angel face and taste for suicidal. Cigarettes and ramen and a little bag of dope. I'm the son of a bitch and Digger Allan Poe. Raising the city in the halo of lights, product of war and fear that we've been victimized. I'm the patron Ricky Saint of the Denial with an angel face and a taste for suicidal. Thank you. What?
You know who could have done better than that?
Mm-hmm.
Peyton Manning Mountain Rock.
There you go. That's good.
You pretend you hate the puns, but you're so in on them.
Listen, when I log on and there's 65 super chats, I'm okay with them.
Well, good, because we just cracked the 2-hour mark. So
I don't mind them nearly as much.
All right, here we go. So hold on. Let's see. Meat Normus wants me, Linda, to sing When the Ricky Saints Go Marching In. There you go. Now when them Ricky Saints go marching in, when the Ricky Saints go marching in.
Go marching in.
Oh, I want to be in that number when the Ricky Saints go marching in. Thank you. That's pretty
was
much
beautiful.
it. There's really not
I'm
much
going to
else.
leave the show. I'm now going to go watch the best of Marcus Jeff Bagwell.
Oh, that
See you
sounds
later.
fantastic. Say hello to his mother for me. Okay. I'm glad that he's gone because he always hates when I do this one. Tom LaValle wants Dusty Rhodes to sing Dustin Rhodes' first WWE's theme song.
Oh yeah, this is a. Oh,
It's me. Hold on. I want to make sure everyone understands. I would be the one to know this. We have not seen Robert Stone up here in Wrestler Heaven, so
Okay,
he is
good to know.
alive.
Good
He
to
may
know.
be on life support at a local medical facility,
Sure,
but he is not dead yet.
got it.
I will keep you updated if we see Robert Stone up here because he used to wrestle. So
Our
he technically could wind up
correspondent
being
in
here.
Wrestling Heaven, Dusty Rhodes joins us for the show.
I'm the official spokesperson of Wrestler Heaven.
We have Dusty Rhodes here live, but not like live. Anyway, Dusty, we're here with you. We have a jukebox request.
So here we go. I'm gonna sing my son his theme song from WCW. Here we go. Well, they call him the Natural. Natural as can be, baby. Well, they call him the Natural. Natural, if you will. It just comes naturally. He's a son of a son and a son of a gun. The halls of a rodeo bulldog. He's a natural one, baby. That's right. Okay, so here we go. This is good. Well, we got a couple here that we're gonna do. I'm gonna go and make sure. I'm gonna go talk to processing and make sure we haven't seen Robert Stone. If Robert Stone comes through processing, then I will come back here and tell you that he is dead. But if he is alive, I will offer no further updates. All right.
It sounds great. Thank you.
I'm
We
gonna go back to the
appreciate
Baby
your
On.
diligent work.
It is a
That
long
was
walk
Dusty
down.
Rhodes.
It is a long walk down to processing, so I gotta start hoofing it.
I believe it. I believe
Okay.
it. Thank you
All
so much for joining us live from Wrestling Heaven, Dusty Rhodes.
All right, bye.
You're still here?
I'm still here. I'm waiting for the elevator.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's
I was
here.
hoping-
Bye.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
So much just happened. Hi, Ricky. Great to see you.
It's good. It's great to see me too.
It
Jam
is.
Beard said for next week, which was last week, Ricky Rainbow to sing "Hey Ricky" by Weird Al. So we'll
Oh,
do that.
perfect.
It's "Hey Me" by Weird Al Yankovic. Oh, Ricky, you're so fine. You're so fine. You blow my mind. Hey, Ricky. Hey, Ricky. Oh, Lucy, you're so fine. You're so fine. You blow my mind. Hey, Lucy. Hey, Lucy. Oh, Ricky, you're so fine. You play your bongos all the time. I do. I do play me bongos
Do you?
quite often. Yep. Hey, Ricky. Hey, Ricky. Oh, Lucy, you're so fine. How I love to hear you whine. Hey, Lucy. Hey, Ricky, you always play your conga drums. You think you got the right. You wake up little Ricky in the middle of the night. Stop shaking your maracas now and just turn out the light, Ricky. I'm sick of Fred and Ethel always coming over here because Fred eats all our pretzel sticks and then he spills his beer. Why don't you serve your casserole and make them disappear, Lucy? Oh, he's being cheeky now.
He is being cheeky.
Oh, Ricky, what's a girl like me supposed to do? You really drive me wild when you sing your Babaloo. Oh, Lucy, you're so dizzy, don't you have a clue? Well, here's to you, Lucy. I love you too, Lucy. Let's Babaloo, Lucy. Thank you.
That was beautiful. And about you. Autobiographical, too.
And now one more. Ricky Rainbow to sing Shapoopy from Family Guy.
Well, from Music
It's
Man,
not
but
really
yes.
from Family Guy. He did a cover. He did a cover of it. Hold on. Now, a woman who will kiss on the very first date is usually a hussy. And a woman
Judgy.
who will kiss on a second time out is anything but fussy. But a woman who'll wait till the third time around, head in the clouds, feet on the ground, she's the girl he's glad he's found. She's his shapoopy. Shapoopy, shapoopy, shapoopy. The girl who's hard to get. Shapoopy, shapoopy, shapoopy. But you can't win her yet. Walk her once, just raise the curtain. Walk around twice and made her for certain. Once more in the flower garden, she will never get sore if you beg your pardon. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, si, fa, la, mi, ra, di, do. Please her once when she isn't looking, get squeezed back, that's a fancy cooking. Once more for a pepper upper, she will never get sore on the way to supper. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, si, do. Shapoopy.
That was gorgeous.
Thank you.
Are you in musical theater a lot, Ricky?
Like, do I attend performances or did I do both?
That's part A and B. I have both questions.
Right. Well, I'll go to see lots of shows.
Okay.
But I usually just go like to premieres and I don't know what I'm watching. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. Sometimes I leave it intermission.
Okay.
You never know. And
Sure.
was I a theatre kid in high school? Look at me hair. That will tell you what I was when I was in theatre. But other than that, look, we got 69 super chats.
Nice.
Nice. Keep cool, gabagoos.
Yeah.